Howdy, 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 everybody. Hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all are ready for some racing tonight. We're in Hungary for the Division 2 race of Zoom Racing League. We got some of the most exciting and electric drivers on the grid tonight. We're talking about the Buzz Gods of the world, the Raptors of the world, the Shaggy Muffins of the world, and I am promising a heater, a banger, a classic of a race tonight. But beyond that, moving forward from Bahrain last week, here are our current standings, both driver and constructor, presented by our boy, NVA.
Yeah, pleasure to be here, man. Sitting in first, we got Lewis, who got the win and the fastest lap, and then fellow constructor of racer of mine, Damien Doe in second, leading from Shaggy Muffin, Buzzgod, Garrett, combined YouTuber, Jack Fletcher, Nathan Doan, Corrupt, Alex Eruption, Prison Mike, Anana Trevetti, Johannes Ludwig, Joel Garan, Sandunga, Sid, and Bronson Stafford, and Ranger and Barney Goatmere. And then for the constructors, dude, Mercedes not having a good first race.
Not at all. Yeah, dude, they are.
Red Bull has a pretty sizable lead at the top too.
Yeah, but coming into this week with the Mercedes, as we're going to transition onto the track, Mercedes has, maybe one of the fastest guys in the league here in Luca. I don't know how to say his last name, and I'm not going to try. But we got Luca coming in this week. Some say he's off his rocker right now, but um, we're going to see what kind of times he's putting up today. As we got our first driver on track is the one, the only, the greatest driver I have ever witnessed. It's Buzzgod in the Ferrari. I told him before the race I put $20 on him to win. That was an absolute lie. I didn't do it, but I needed to give him a little bit extra motivation. Not that he needed it, but I wanted him to have it. And we're going to see what kind of times they can put up. NBA, in the D3 race, we saw, what was the best lap we saw? Like a 16 flat?
Yeah, just about around there. D2 a little bit faster, probably in the low 115s maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, low 115s. That is, that is quite a bit
Ah,
faster.
I mean, you got some really fast drivers in D2, especially some of the ones who are locked because of time constraints. But
Yeah.
I'm always optimistic for for times, especially on a nice sunny track.
Yeah, dude, low 115s is quite the time, but you are right. We do have some of the fastest drivers. You think of Eruption, who didn't have a great race last week, but is known for his insane pace. Low 115s definitely aren't out of the picture. As Buzzcott is coming through Sector 2 right now. Tap the brakes, just get the car to turn in just a little bit more right there. Early on the throttle, his teammate, I believe that is combined YouTuber, spun out in the grass right there, let him by. And this turn right here, it's kind of dicey. People have been running wide on it in quali in the race, avoiding the track limits. We're going to see if that is going on this race. As he's coming across the last turn, I believe that is Tyler in front of him. Isn't going to get much of a slipstream, and if he's not going to get any time at all, as he spins out at the final turn. Tough lap for Buzzgod right there.
Yeah, really unfortunate. He was holding it pretty good up until that last corner.
Yeah,
He sets out a 125.5.
yeah, definitely not his best time right there. I think, is that Corrupt who's coming up next? It may be, yeah, Corrupt's coming up next. We're going to see what the real kind of standard is for the rest of the crew. And I think that's going to be dropped heavily. A 16.6, still a great lap for Corrupt in your Alfa Romeo. So you're in the Alfa Romeo seat. We saw Damien kind of do phenomenal last week as Luca goes 16.4. Not too much faster than Corrupt. Is there any, Alfa Romeo secrets or anything you can tell us about Damien or Corrupt?
I mean, honestly, they're both just fast drivers. There are secrets. I'm obviously not gonna tell them either, but I think they're just good, fast, consistent drivers. So I'm excited to see what they can do here.
Speaking of a fast and consistent driver, we're on board with Shaggy Muffin right now as he's coming through Sector 3, burning all the ERS. little bit late on the throttle right there, I think. Definitely just going for a nice little banker lap. Shaggy drives so smooth. Lewis Piper 16.3 in the Red Bull. And Damien, there's your boy, Damien, 16 flat. So, you know, we've already crossed that threshold of D3 pole time, and we're, what, like 4 minutes into the session, checking off a Ghost P4. And the man who's made his return, Victor Diaz, goes P10. I'm sorry for interrupting you, UVA. What was that?
Oh, all good. I was just going to say, we, at least in the D3 race, we had a lot of track evolution, too, towards the end of qualifying. At least from what I felt personally, so.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think I set a 17.7, I think. It may have been 17.8 for my first lap. By the end of it, I did set like it's still not a great lap, like a 16.9, 17 flat, I think, one of those two. And that's like nearly a second, and so we're definitely going to see some crazy track evolution here.
Yeah, as I just noticed too, both of the Mercedes are reserve drivers, so while they get points for the constructors, both the full-time Mercedes drivers will probably remain at the bottom of the standings after this week.
Yeah, that is, I totally forgot that Cal, who is put up the second fastest time so far as Prison Mike struggles, spins out right there. We had a bit of a moment there in the D3 race, and Prison Mike is having the same kind of woes. So Cal in the Mercedes seat, I was not expecting that at all.
I think Sid marked yes for attendance and just had something come up, but luckily got a last-minute reserve and
Cal is a
pretty fast one from what I can see. Yeah.
He's a great reserve. You know, they're not going to get full points, but you know, if he can stay within that top 5 region, they're still going to come away with some great points for the team. It won't be as much as possible, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. You know, at this point, you know, so late coming into it. So we got a couple guys making their return to the ZRL, not Racing League, that's not the thing, Zoom Racing League, to Zoom Racing League. You know, Raptor and Garrett. Raptor obviously left the server for a little bit. Garrett didn't race last season. They're sitting at P18, 19, both about to start their first time laps. But you know, last time these guys raced, they were in the top. Garrett was, you know, fighting Sid and Johannes damn near every week, and Raptor was leading the championship before he left, the D2 championship. And Garrett just invalidates right as I was hyping him up, and so we're going to skip to Raptor and hope he doesn't do the same thing. But, you know, these guys are sitting, you know, not Garrett's in the Williams and Raptor's in the Aston Martin, not sitting in the 2 premier or 3 premier seats, but I think they're going to prove a lot of people wrong this season, as they did dominate the last time they were out on track.
Yeah, and another you know, return to the league is I think Victor Diaz just got his seat a little bit ago too.
I think he got that seat today, so we're seeing both Aston Martins making their return. Of course, as Bronson Stafford and Joe Guerin. I don't know what happened, but they are out, and Victor Diaz and Raptor are in.
Raptor seems to be hooking his lap up pretty nicely too, coming out of the end of Sector 2 here.
No doubt about that. And Raptor's always just been just a fast guy, like quick at everything he's really done. We're gonna see what kind of time he can put up. Will it be competitive in this new age, Division 2? We'll find out.
Pretty much every car on track here too. One thing that was a bit of a struggle in D3 was there was just so much traffic trying to get your laps in.
Ridiculous. It really was.
Especially in the last closing minutes there.
Yeah, it was really hectic, and the track is just so short. What is the nickname they have for it? It's like something about Monaco, the Monaco without walls or something like that. It's just such a tight track. It's difficult to overtake. Traffic's an issue, but you know, obviously I'm only speaking for myself right here. you can obviously put your input in afterwards, but I do find it fun to drive. As Lewis goes 15.8, I find the track incredibly fun to whip around on.
Yeah, I love this track in time trials especially. It's nice to not have to worry about tire deg or tire temp, which was the big struggle for me towards the end there. But it's definitely a fun track to race at. Just wish the straight was a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do. Um, oh, Shaggy had to lift just a little bit right there. Gonna gain a lot of speed through here. Is he gonna be earlier on the throttle? He's earlier on the throttle this lap than he was on his last flying lap. So I think he'll probably be about 2 or 3 tenths up. That is my guess. Looking at a 16.1, 16.2-ish. As Nathan Doan, formerly on Nathan Doan F1 team, and he only goes half a tenth. I absolutely choked that prediction, but Nathan Doan, formerly Nathan Doan F1 team, P7 now. Cal still P3. Eruption coming to the line. He said he's 3 tenths up in the top right. Is that accurate? We're gonna find out.
Yes, I think I missed it. Oh, there we go. I was going to say both Red Bulls under the 116 threshold there.
They are flying right now. Can Damien Doe do anything about it? As he was sitting P1 for quite a bit of this qualifying session. He's got 7 minutes remaining to take it back. The Alfa Romeos, it is a beautiful car. That I think it's my favorite looking car in the entire roster.
Yeah, dude, I love what they did with the color scheme. I like the engine sound. I was super happy when I got drafted to the team. So
Hell yeah, dude. I'm not too big a fan of the engine sound. Um, but everything else, I give it 10 out of 10. Damien goes 15.9. He's under the 16s, but still a little bit of a ways off of Lewis and Eruption. Still a great lap in the 15.9s. Dude, Damien is killing it so far this season. I know we're only a race and a quali in, but that's what you like to see from your Alfa Romeo driver.
yeah, definitely, and I'm hoping for a lot more track evolution, so the quality times get down to where I predicted. But it's a bit higher than I thought there'd be. I might have been a little over ambitious there.
And Buzzgod only goes 16.5, or he's starting another lap right now. Gonna burn the ERS. Yeah, the ERS is on, so we're gonna see what kind of lap Buzzgod can actually put in. We obviously saw him absolutely bottle his first lap with a 125 something. Looking to get into the 15s here. I've got a lot of money on him. Again, I really don't, but I needed him to think that. Said he was only about half a tenth up right there. Not looking great for either Ferrari driver, and we saw that in the D3 race too. Pilon and Spanini. Ferrari had not been doing so hot in D3. They had a good race last week in D2, but I don't think Ferrari can afford to have D3 and D2 fumble, even though their D4 drivers have been great at it.
Yeah, I think the both Ferrari drivers had a couple unfortunate incidents in the D3 race, but hopefully no such occurrence for Buzzgod or combined YouTuber here.
Buzzgod goes a tenth and a half faster, puts him up into P6. Raptors spun out somewhere. Barney Goatmere, 16.7, about to start his flying lap. We'll stick on board with him for this hot lap, because I think Barney's going to put down a pretty good time here in the Williams.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's looking to come back after a rather unfortunate end to his last weekend.
Absolutely. So a couple drivers I think you should keep an eye on. Number one, Freddie Rizal. He's had the pace all weekend, had an unfortunate D3 race in which he had to pit an extra time for softs at like lap 15. It was miserable. He didn't have the quality he wanted. He invalidated it, or he would have been in the 15s. So look out for Freddie Rizal. And is that Freddie Rizal spun out right there? No, Fred's in the pits. That's Tyler. So look out for Freddie Rizal, I think, in the race. And at the end of this qualifying, I think he's going to put in an insane lap. Another driver I think we need to look out for is Victor Diaz. You know, he's making his return, formerly a D1 driver. I think he's going to want to put on a show in his Season 5 debut.
Yeah, and to add two more to those, I mean, we talked about it a bit at the beginning, but Luca is apparently pretty fast, a bit of an unknown, but is currently sitting P5. I think just waiting to come out for their final lap as Barney goes P5 with a 1:16.267.
Yeah, so definitely a great lap for Barney. Combined is the only other person on track right now that is on a flyer. So we're going to see what kind of laps he puts in before the rest of the boys put in their final lap.
And a bit of an interesting timing to go for a hot lap here. The one benefit, you know, he doesn't have to worry about any of the traffic, but I don't think he'll be able to set another lap after this.
Won't set another lap, and the track evolution is not at its absolute peak, but it's not too far off, and you know, maybe he's thinking the lack of traffic outweighs that. And after dealing with it in the D3 race, I think I would agree with him. And we're going to see what he does as he crosses the line from P13 to P5 with a 16.2. So, you know, 4/10 improvement. Great lap from Combined YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. As things start to heat up here, I think every driver out on track now. Hopefully traffic doesn't play too much of a role, but it's definitely going to be a bit crowded.
What kind of laps? So we got a lot of people. They're starting their final laps. Garrett, I think, is leading the charge right now. He's 2/10 up, 2.5 tenths up, nearly 3 tenths up on his current P14 time is a 16.6. He's going to come break, I think, at the perfect time right there. Carries quite a bit of speed through that little chicane. I think he can go a little bit wider on those curves right there. But again, he's faster than me, so what do I know? Truthfully, is he gonna go wide? He's not. He's gonna keep it in the track. He's 6 tenths up currently, so Garrett is on an absolute storm. And I think there's time to be gained here as well. So Garrett is definitely one to watch out for in the race. Oh, wow.
Oh!
That is absolutely
commentator's
brutal.
curse
That
there.
is oh, that's brutal.
Really unfortunate for Garrett, right at the last corner.
And so Eruption has invalidated his final lap. It looked like he was 2 tenths up. So now the provisional pole sitter has nothing he
his
can do.
prison Mike does the same thing as Garrett and spins out at the last corner
that
up
is
like
just
4
brutal.
tenths.
Absolutely brutal. So Damien coming through right behind Lewis Piper. They're fighting for pole position now. Lewis Piper goes a little bit wide. They may have lost some time. Luckily, he's not invalidated. But did it cost him time? I have no idea. He goes wide again. And he's down or up. I really don't know the correct terminology right there. Is he down or is he up? He's going to put in a time that is slower at this current pace. Is Damien Doe going to be our pole sitter? Provisionally, at least, until the rest of the crowd. And there's another Haas that's around right there. Damien goes P1. Damien Doe with a 15.6. What an absolute heater of a lap.
Yeah, he hooked up every single corner there. It was really nice to see. Super clean lap. Man, that's impressive.
Jeez, that is mega from Damien Doe in the Alfa Romeo. Donnie 3 putts, where are you at? He's got to be excited about that. The Alfa Romeo putting it pole position. Dude, that lap is bonkers. Yeah, that is
And I
bonkers.
think, yeah, I think everyone is done. We're just AI lapping. Finish out quality here.
That was it. Your pole sitter is Damian Doe in the Alfa Romeo Eruption, and Lewis Piper, the two Red Bulls, 2 and 3, and then followed by the two Mercedes, both reserve drivers, Cal and Luca, and then a Ferrari, and Barney Goatmere in the Williams P7, Buzzcod P8, Raptor in his debut P9. Freddie Rizal, I said he was going to have a banging quali. He did not, only P10, but it is in the Haas. Shaggy Muffin, Alpha Tauri P11, Nathan Doan, Corrupt, Victor Diaz P12 or 11 through 14 right there. And then to round out the final 6, Garrett, Alex, and Dunga, Prison Mike, Jack Fletcher, and the Haas of Tyler. ORL Tyler, I should say. I think we're going to have an exciting race here tonight. I really do.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a close one. A lot of drivers, pretty similar pace. Hopefully they can keep it clean. I think it should make some really good racing.
I think it will. I think Damien's got to have a banger start, though. Because, oh, and it's wet. It is raining down in Hungary. This throws things, there's some drivers that just straight up stink in the wet. Um, and we're going to see who those drivers are. Getting off the line is going to be harder. Taking the corners is going to be harder. Some guys may have elected for a lower downforce setup, uh, and they're screwed straight up.
Yeah, it puts an interesting perspective for quali because hopefully the drivers knew it was raining before that, so some of them might be running different setups.
But I mean, oh, it's quite the predicament because it's a hard track to overtake on, and so you want to have a great dry setup um, for quali, but if it's gonna just leave you miserable in the actual race, I just don't know if it's worth it. But we're gonna see, what kind of things these guys did, what kind of setups they did. Damien obviously leading, and this is full wet conditions. They have the blue tires on, as BuzzGod is gonna start on cold, cold, cold wet tires. He's gonna have an absolute miserable start.
Yeah, it's shocking. It's full wet. I'm curious what the rest of the weather is. One of the times I wish I had telemetry open, but curious to see if it'll stay wet the whole time, or if it is supposed to dry out at all.
Yeah, I really don't know. I hope it's not wet the entire time. I love to see the track change, and we're gonna see. I would love to see some drivers say, I'm gonna stay on the wets. I'd love to see some drivers go to the inters really early and just try to gamble on it. Um, and so I'm hoping for a lot of variation in this weather. Wet to dry, Maxime says, and
Wet to
so
dry. Okay.
that is exciting. That is exciting.
Yeah, it definitely mixes up the race, puts a lot more emphasis on strategy here.
It's gonna be such an exciting race as they're coming around to their final two turns to end their formation lap. I don't, this is the first wet race we've had. Um, I don't know what is the optimal temperature for the race start on wet tires. Normally we just start on inters. It's very rarely a full wet race, and so I think a lot of people are gonna be out of their element. Um, it's gonna be a great race, I think.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one tried to do the Yarnawapmi and start on inters. It must be wet for a pretty long time.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mention it, we can take a look. I think at the tires, everyone is on the wets. People are missing their breaking point pretty bad there. We have a terrible camera angle. I don't know why we're behind them. We're gonna try to get a better one as the race starts. But we're gonna hop on board with Lewis Piper in P3. Who's gonna get the best race start here? Damien does not have a good race start, and Lewis and Eruption did. Eruption's P1, Lewis P2, so Damien's already down into P3 right there. Barney Goatmere, Buzzcod, both hop, combined YouTuber. Lewis gets in the lead, Eruption lets him by, but does Damien go down the inside? He does. He goes down the inside of Eruption, so Damien now claims P2 again, but Lewis, Eruption, they're fighting, they're side by side through these first three turns. Eruption gets ahead again, so Damien from P1 to P3. Cal in P4, Luca up into P5. So a lot of these guys shifting around right now. We have on board Freddie Rizal in the midfield, down in position, Corrupt up in position, Nathan Doan up 2 positions, and they're absolutely battling right now. This is side by side from a lot of people in these full wet conditions. And there's a yellow sector 2 that looks like it's an Aston Martin. That's got to be the Aston Martin of Raptor down in the P20. Buzzcod down in the P19 had a stinker of a start.
Yeah, I think he got a lot of wheel spin, but Damien Doe at the start, I think he missed his braking point, so he started all the way back in his pit box. Didn't get the best to start, and I think that's what helped drop him to P3.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And I feel like, especially in the wet, if you're just a little bit further back, it's going to ruin it more than it would in quality. But the Red Bulls, P1 and P2, Damien right on the rear of Eruption. Lewis is trying to build quite a big gap here. Oh, Cal a little bit more. I think we're going to see a lot of these. This turn especially, that final turn into this start-finish straightaway, it's easy to lose your rear there in the dry, and I think in the wet especially, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they do it. As Alex and Dunga are fighting in the back right there. They're side by side. Coming into turn 1, there's a McLaren in the mix as well. Is anyone going to break later than normal? Prison Mike trying to go on the outside. It's going to be super, super tough in the wet. Is that going to allow the Ferrari of combined YouTuber? No. Or Buzzcod, sorry. And Cal, Barney, they're fighting. Everyone's fighting right now. Cal, Barney, Goatmere going on the inside of Cal. Cal has to go wide. Barney has a little bit of a slip up, but he has the position, and he keeps it.
Yes, Damien Doe gets past Eruption into turn 3. We'll see if he'll be able to catch up the almost 3-second gap now to Lewis Piper, who's just flying at the moment. Yeah, is in first place by a good bit. Doesn't have to deal with any of the traffic.
And weather, traffic, Hungary, dude, this is what it was made for. And Mr. Sandunga is off. He's now behind Orel, Tyler, Buzzcod, both the Ferraris down P17 and P18.
Yeah, just, ref for the Ferraris. Both did relatively well in quali and just had, a bad start or a couple spins respectively.
Yeah, it's just such a frustrating way to, as we're getting, some, is it true information? I'm going to say it's true information. That Buzzcod was killed by Raptor at the start and then by Sandunga just now. I guess we're going to see it in the tickets later on, what really went down, but regardless, they are in those 17th and 18th positions.
Yeah, as combined YouTuber pulls into the pits, I'm curious to see if he sticks with the full wet tires or switches to inters, but...
Yeah, this is interesting. Does he know something we don't? Is he going for a big gamble here? These guys, they're looking squirrely on the wet, so I don't know.
Yeah, he does put on the full wet, so my guess is he got a little bit of wing damage, unfortunately. But, a lot of people, I guess you can't call it a DRS train with no DRS, but a lot of people following very closely from just around 3rd to 10th.
Yeah, not much of a DRS train, but it is, they say in real life it's the great equalizer, but I don't know how accurate that is in sim racing. As Eruption was passed by Luca as well. Barney Goatmere looking at him like he's food. Barney's looking to get into the top 4 at Hungary.
Yeah, it seems Eruption might be struggling a bit in the wet. Maybe didn't have the most optimal setup, but his teammate is still keeping that consistent, just about 3-second gap to Damien.
And I'm fairly certain Eruption is on the no assist, and so when you go full wet, it is so ridiculously easy to lock up here. And so that may be an issue. Yeah, Eruption's braking really, really early compared to Barney, who has the ABS on, just to make sure he doesn't lock up. And yeah, it is rough out here for those non-ABS users right now.
Yeah, this is the first I've seen a 50% full wet race. So I'm curious to see how the the tires work in the transitions. As, ooh, I think Luca had a big moment out of maybe turn 6 it is.
Is Barney
But
going to get the
does
position?
lose the place.
Barney hits his rear just a little bit, and now Eruption gets third place back, but Barney's looking like he may be the fastest driver out of this lot.
Yeah, he definitely might be the fastest driver, but overtaking, especially
It
in the
is
rain, is
rough.
so difficult in Hungary.
And he's on the edge. He's had to back off, lift off a little bit, and Cal is right behind him. And so I think we're just going to see a lot of these drivers just having to pay patient, or having not to pay patient, but having to be patient and just wait for the driver in front to slip up and then strike there.
Yeah, though I am impressed at the number of on-track overtakes that have happened already. And they seem to be keeping them fairly clean, aside from the Ferraris, unfortunately.
Yeah, and oh, is Alex is ghosted there? He's inside of McLaren right now. Is he still? Oh, and oh, the lobby is definitely desynced a little bit. We just seen Alex Duarte teleport a good probably 20 meters in front of both McLarens right there, and so that is bizarre.
Yes, I think we have another spin out of the final corner by I think Orel Tyler's the Haas there, as he gets back going again.
Yeah, not what you want to see so far back, but with it being full wet, there is going to be a lot of strategy involved. So if you can get really lucky on the strategy, call your shot, go for a major gamble, um, and at that point you have nothing to lose for. You might as well go for the major gamble when the opportunity presents itself, of course. But he's not completely out of the race, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and it does seem to be drying up a little bit, and maybe that's just, select camera angles, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a switch to inters here pretty soon.
It may. I don't. Yeah. Now that you mention it, I think I could be placeboing myself right now. But is the rain falling just a little bit lighter? I'm seeing a little bit drier line right there. There's something is the track is definitely evolving. Is loose. They're getting faster. So you might be right. It may only be a matter of time before the switch to inners is on.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see, some of the people who've fallen a little bit back switch to inters and try to get that jump.
Garrett Elder just overtook Shaggy Muffin down the start finish straightaway, and Shaggy Muffin, of course, in the wet we don't have the DRS, but in front of him, Victor Diaz and Corrupt, they're going side by side, coming into the turn 3 right now. They bang wheels just a little bit. Is this going to allow Garrett Elder to sneak in there? No, he doesn't have the grip in the wet. They bang wheels again. Corrupt he gets the wider line, and Garrett Elder is now completely in the mix. But is he going to get involved in all that as well? I don't know. He backs out smartly, wisely, and Corrupt now leads Victor Diaz, Garrett Elder, and Shaggy Muffin.
Yeah, as I was on board, Luca overtook Eruption again in the where's he at? Start of Sector 2 and is back in the podium position.
And Barney still has not been able to overtake Eruption. He's gotten so close. I hop on board with him, and is that the Haas of Orel Tyler? And now there's a safety car. Okay.
Will they pit? I think that's the huge question here. Is Lewis Piper slowing down? I think pulling into the pits.
Glitches.
Oh, is it a Delta glitch?
Yeah, because Barney had to just basically full stop on track. They all did.
Yeah, as Lewis Piper pulls into the pits, maybe for a new set of inters, possibly.
I would assume so. It has to be the inters. Oh, what in the world just happened? You saw that as well.
Yeah,
What is going on? We are freaking
I'm
out
hoping,
right now.
I'm hoping it's desync, but Barney Goatmere technically was the first driver to not pit.
Oh my god.
It appears to be desync on our end.
This is unreal desync.
Possibly not. It says everyone's still on 5-lap wets. I don't think it let them change tires. I am very confused. Oh, okay. Now it's updating for me.
Yeah, they are.
People are starting to spawn into inters, but
good night. What is this?
possibly a new glitch, or hopefully just desync.
But this is the first safety car we've seen all weekend, so it could just be. Well, we saw in Bahrain, safety cars are absolutely like bugged out of their mind. But what I didn't see was this like glitchiness in the pits under a safety car. This is disgusting. And Barney stayed out on the wets. Will that come back to haunt him?
Yeah, it might be a Monaco situation of trying to jump the wets all the way to the dries. He definitely got track position, which is huge in Hungary.
Hmm. But how long until the track dries, not dies? And like, how badly will those full wet tires overheat? Will he be able to hold on long enough? Definitely a gamble, and that's what I was saying. I said take the gamble earlier. And we're gonna
Yes, I
see.
think Eruption pitted to new wets. I don't know if that
That,
was the move to go for.
yikes.
That's a tough. That'll be a tough one to get back to the P3 P4 he was fighting for.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. And every driver, we're getting in the chat, every driver's getting delted. So they're saying you got to slow down here, even in the far back. And that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, as Barney pulls into the pits, will he go to Inters?
I think everyone has to. So these guys, even Eruption's going back in the pits on the entry, so he made a mistake. Um, maybe the game didn't put him on the right tires. We've seen this race very evidently that the game is definitely bugged. Um, Shaggy staying out on the wets.
I mean, with how spaced out it is, we're probably gonna have a good bit under safety car. He may be trying to jump all the way to the dry compound tires, but tire temps are gonna be brutal, as Hungary's already pretty overheating prone circuit.
So NBA, what is the thought process right here? If you are if you're Shaggy Muffin, you've gone up, 7 spots now, but you stayed on the what everyone else is saying the worst tire. What are you doing if you're Shaggy Muffin in this situation?
I mean, it's kind of too late for him to pit now. If he pits, he'll end up all the way down in just about P17 like Eruption did. So he either just has to, take that loss, or try to ride it out to a more beneficial pit stop. But thankfully, it's not the easiest track to overtake on, so he may just gonna be parking the bus a little bit.
And wait for those dry tires. We've seen he has the pace on dries, but this track from the aerial view is looking like it is drying fast. Um, Obviously a little bit of rainfall, but I'm looking out past those hills right there, NBA, and I'm seeing blue sky. I don't know, maybe that's going away or it's coming here. I don't know, but I'm saying I'm seeing blue sky, and that means dry tires are coming eventually.
Yeah, and as we get another lap under safety car, which only helps out Shaggy.
Mhm.
But there's some other big winners from the safety car too. I mean, Freddie Rozelle up 5 places to P5, Corrupt up 7 places to P6, Victor Diaz up 7 places to P7. Definitely some drivers that were able to take a bit more advantage than others.
I mean, Alex up 7 positions, Prism Mike, yeah, like there's a lot of drivers that definitely won, and then you see the drivers that didn't win. Eruption, Cal combined, they're down 15 places. Buzz got down 4 places. The Ferrari Raptor down 5 places. So, we definitely saw some of these guys win, some of these guys lose. Seen a lot of winners out there, though. Shaggy Muffin up 7 positions, but of course on those full wet tires.
As I think just about everyone's caught up to the pack, so I wouldn't be surprised if the safety car comes in this lap. But it is definitely drying out more and more.
And I'm thinking Shaggy's tires are going to be overheated after about a lap. He may even have to come into the pit, and his strategy is all for naught. But at this point, he has to hold on and wait for the dries, unless unless it is impossible to drive
Yeah, I mean, if he pits, it should probably be the dries. I don't see any other way he maintains the track position that he did this gamble for. Going to be a very interesting restart, though. You know, a lot of traffic, inter tires, a very tight track.
on. I'm excited to see if Damien can reclaim his position in P1. Is he going to get Lewis at the start, or is he going to have another bad start? We're going to see. Lewis is off. Damien doesn't get the launch he needed. Luca is right behind Damien. If he burns the ERS with the slipstream, he may be able to make a lunge for him. Luke is going to go on the outside of Damien here. Going for the looking like a switchback. He just didn't have the grip to go enough on the inside right there. And Shaggy Muffin still not overtaking yet. Of course, we just went through one turn.
Yeah, he actually managed to pull a bit of a gap to Freddie behind, so maybe Freddie just not quite being able to get his tires up to the right temperature. He's still keeping pace with the
So
top four.
Is the wet tire still the tire to be on? Obviously,
That would be a
but...
crazy visual thing if the wet is still faster than the inter here.
Oh, 100%. But what was it, like 2 seasons ago? We were at Singapore and in the D1 race, and the track just didn't dry. Like it may have looked a little bit different, but it simply did not dry. And I'm wondering if something similar can happen here, just allowing it to just it screwed a very important person out of a win there. Wondering if it may do the same here.
As Damien Doe makes a bit of a mistake coming out of the, I think it was the chicane of the second sector, and loses the position to Luca.
And now Shaggy's falling back just a little bit, and Fred is coming back. But Fred has a 2.5 gap to Corrupt, who is up in a P6. So your Alfa Romeo drivers and Corrupt and Damien Doe, they are in a phenomenal position right now. P3 and P6. That's insane.
And thankfully both on, I guess, what's technically the right tire compound, so.
And Barney and Corrupt.
They can,
sorry, go on.
I was just saying, hopefully they can maintain the gains that they've made.
And we're going to find out, you know, Barney and Corrupt, former D3 rivals coming into D2 in competing cars, the Williams and the Alfa Romeo fighting for P6 right now. So, you know, Barney, we saw he had the pace earlier. Can he keep up the similar or faster pace on the intermediates? Right now, not looking so, as Corrupt has got the better of him. And he has a little bit of a slip up. Does that allow Victor Diaz? Victor Diaz now riding on his tail. But again, it's so difficult to overtake here. Even when they slip up, it's hard to get your foot on the throttle. Oh my God! We just seen a massive crash back there of Raptor and Alex Duarte. We saw it in just the rear view. How is this not a safety car? I have no
Shaggy
idea.
pits. Shaggy pits. Will he go to inters or will he risk it for the dries?
He has to go for the inters. I don't know how that's not a safety car.
Yeah, that was a horrible crash. There's been a few complaints about the safety car rules this year's game. We've been reduced typically, and you know, multiple driver crashes just sometimes don't cause safety cars.
And then you have one that with Tyler's, who I felt was in a similar enough spot in terms of how dangerous it is to drive next to on track, and that was an instant safety. It is very inconsistent and just straight up weird how it works. But now there's, you know, quite a bit of a gap. We saw in the wets there wasn't the intervals were closer together. Luca is 3.5 seconds back of Lewis. Damien is a 1.5 seconds. Fred 3 seconds back. Corrupt a second back. Barney a second back. And then it gets a little bit closer from that 7 position down. Victor Diaz half a second there. Nathan a second, and then half a second, half a second, second and a half a second. Da 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 da. So they're getting closer the further back they get. But those guys at the top, they are running away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, I mean, even Lewis Piper is still pulling a pretty sizable gap to P2. I mean, up almost 3.5 seconds. He set another fastest lap.
And everyone's fastest lap should be right now. So we're going to see if I can get the fastest lap. So he is, fastest driver on track by about 3/10 right now. Buzzcod made his way back up into the top 10 after a horrendous start. A great recovery so far. We've gone a little under halfway here. So Buzzcod still has a lot of work to do if he's going to get that Division 2 W, but never say never is what I'm going to say. Never say never.
And thankfully, hearing from some drivers and admins, the safety car pit stop glitch was just a spectator glitch and not something that the actual drivers saw.
Okay,
so
that is, yeah. I was like, dude, this race is not going to, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. Buzzcod is now closing in on Nathan Doan. He was like 5/10, now he's 3/10. He's going back up to 4/10. He had a great exit right there. He's going to need another great exit down this final turn. But Nathan has a little bit better traction right there. Buzzcod needs great traction right here. In fact, that short shift may be up to 5th right there. Nathan gets the better exit. Buzzcod going to stay in P9 for this lap.
Yeah, as Eruption has climbed his way back up to P10 after pitting to the wrong tires. So, good recovery from him. Curious to see how much further up he can make it.
Especially once this track completely dries out, I think we're going to see him, not having to struggle with the lack of ABS locking up. Potentially, we're going to see him really unleash the beast here in the dry compound tires.
Yeah, as most of the battles seem to be in the midfield here. The front 5 just have a bit of a gap between them.
And that is,
oh my goodness,
DRS
is enabled.
Who's going to be the first to pit? That is the question. We're going to watch Lewis Piper, who just set another purple sector. You go on to the mediums here. You can't go onto the softs. Lewis stays
he does
out.
Not pit.
Who's going to be the first to bite? Who is going to do it? Damien doesn't. Someone's got to take the gamble. Is that Corrupt? Corrupt going for the gamble. Will it pay off? He's going to struggle for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a risk, but if it dries out at any speed, as we see a couple more people pull into the pits, he's on a chance for a possible podium.
And I like the call. I really do. Like, he's sitting in P6. He goes onto the hards. That is going to be so difficult right here. Watch out.
As Jack Fletcher comes out on the softs.
This is, we're seeing a lot of different hards, medium, so we're seeing it all right now. This is going to be rough for Corrupt on the hard tire, but if he gets it warmed up, oh my God.
Yeah, and you gotta feel just a little bad for Shaggy, who pitted just 3 laps too early.
I know. He just needed to hold on for a little bit.
Watching the times for Corrupt, it's hard to tell out of Sector 1 because it counts the pit stop, but it doesn't seem like he's struggling too much for tire grip.
And Luca has to go into the pits. There's no longer rain falling on the track as far as I can tell.
Yeah, but Lewis doesn't pit again.
Yeah, so Luca's going to come into the pits. Freddie goes into the pits.
We definitely got our mix of strategies here.
Absolutely.
As Lewis and Damien stay out, but everyone else behind him, it looks like, is pitting.
And where is Corrupt going to end up? Of course, he was the first to merge. Did he pit maybe just a little bit too early? 5 seconds speeding in the pit lane. It's looking like Corrupt may have just pit a lap too early. He's gonna come to the line. He's gonna be.
Yeah, really.
Oh, he's gonna be fighting a lot of people.
He is, yeah, a good mixture of hard and mediums here. But the other thing too is, tire warm up might be difficult for some of the drivers ahead. He might be able to get a couple of them if they're just struggling to warm up their tires a little bit. He did come out into a lot of traffic though. My real question is, where is Lewis and Damien going to end up?
This could be insane. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but they just went 3 wide right there. And Corrupt, with the better tire, just made his way past Nathan and Buzzcod, who are on those fresh tires, cold tires, and he's charging his way towards Barney Goatmere now.
Yeah, I love to see it as Lewis just pulls into the pits. I'm curious to see where he comes out. He does still have a pretty substantial lead. I mean, it's just about 20-second gap to Luca.
I think Luca may be... Oh, it's going to be close. Damien also going into the pits. Smart decision. Alex, you also have to go into the pits this lap. Luca's going to come out in P2. And Damien is going to come out in P3. But Luca is going to be able to charge towards Lewis, who's on cold tires, but will it be enough for Corrupt? That's the fastest lap.
Yeah, that's super interesting to see the mixture of tire compounds here. So we have a couple people on mediums, a couple people on hards, and just the singular driver on softs. But we definitely got our mix of strategy from the weather.
Yeah, we really did. And look at that in the Haas. Freddie Rizal up into P4. So this is... What a great decision. But, the mediums, they have to go 17, 18 laps. They definitely can. But towards the end, I'm assuming the hards are going to be a lot better. So will Barney and Corrupt in that P5 and P6 position be able to make things work? We're gonna have to sit around and wait just a little bit. But definitely something to keep eye of. Fred and Barney, their intervals coming down.
And Corrupt back up to P6, so I guess no harm really done from the gamble he made, but also didn't really gain an advantage from it either.
And I think that's fine. Like they took a big swing for giant reward and no loss at all. I think that's something you could obviously go back and do it in a heartbeat. I think staying in the same position. Buzzcod has the DRS on Victor Diaz. Is he going to go for a lunge on the inside? Victor does not cover the inside, so he's going to have to go around the outside if he wants to keep his position. Does Buzzcod have the traction? He's on the hards. Victor, of course, on the mediums. Victor staying on the inside.
Sorry to interrupt you. Luca spun out of P2.
Woo! So now Luca down into P3. Damien still... Lewis is absolutely flying right now. So Damien is 8.5 seconds back from Lewis, but he's in P2 now. And Freddie Rizal hunting down his boy, Luca.
Yes. Oh, no. Corrupt spun.
Corrupt. And he's going to lose a lot of positions there. That is...
Really.
Absolutely.
And so did Prison Mike. Everyone's losing it in that uphill right-hander, it seems. Maybe the grip's just not quite there.
It's just not there yet. That is absolutely...
As we get a VSC, full safety car?
VSC... If it's full safety car, I think...
It is full safety car, I think.
Wow.
The safety car comes out of the pit lane. I'm shocked that with all the safety car problems we've had, that's what causes it.
I'm so confused. I really don't get it. Do you think if you're a hard compound runner, that we've had, those guys are on, they're going to be on, so we see Barney, I think he's going to go for the mediums here. Do you think other hard compound runners going to the pits, Corrupt does?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense for Corrupt, whose tires are probably really hot, might have a little wing damage from the spin, but if you're someone like Buzzcod, I think it's worth it to stay out on the hard compound tires unless the people in front of you pit. I think is what Buzzcod should be watching. So if people in front of him pit, there's no reason for him not to. But I think he's in a good place on the hards right now.
So I believe Barney and Corrupt had to have had a moment as Barney had to replace his front wing during that pit stop. So they had to have bumped something together, broke a lot of carbon, cost their teams a lot of money and positions. They're now sitting in P15 and P17 after sitting in P5 and P6, and that is quite the drop from where they were.
Yeah, really, really unfortunate to hear. Might have been a collision. Hopefully they can join back up to the pack pretty soon and don't have that annoying safety car delta glitch.
Yeah, that thing is absolutely ridiculous. And I want to make note, they say the third time is the charm. And Damien Doe, the third time, will it be the charm? Will he finally get the start he wants? Will he be able to overtake Lewis Piper here after the safety car restart? We're going to wait probably a lap or two more, but, he can't be a sitting duck again.
Yeah, this restart's definitely going to be interesting, especially if you're...
oh my god! Luca trying to warm up his tires. I have no words. I actually have 0 words for that. Luca, that
I think he retires too. He's out of the session.
Wow.
Really unfortunate for Mercedes, who lost. I think he was one of the drivers that would give them full points. Not 100% sure on that, but really tough to lose it while trying to weave back and forth along your tires there.
That is very frustrating. But now we're looking at Freddie Brazil in a podium position. Right behind him, Nathan Doan. And I have insider knowledge, guys. Nathan Doan keeps pressing Freddie Brazil because Fred owes him money. It doesn't really add much. Just a little bit of an extra thing for their dynamic. A little bit of spice involved. If Fred can beat him, maybe he can say, I don't owe you the money anymore. I don't know how it's going to work. But I know that to be true. Fred owes Nathan Doan money. And I think Nathan Doan's going to be coming after him because of that. So keep an eye out for Freddie Brazil, Nathan Doan. Keep an eye out for Buzzgod and Victor Diaz. Victor, of course, on the mediums, Buzzgod on the hards. Those hards are so difficult to warm up during safety car. And Victor's are going to be so much easier to warm up because he's on the mediums. I think Buzzgod's going to have a rough start. Ruption as well on the hard tire. He's going to have a tough start. Safety car is in this lap. Damien Doe, you know what to do. You just have to execute. What will you do this time?
Yes, I don't think you can quite rule Buzzcut out for a podium yet. If the other drivers on the mediums ahead of him, their tires die off, they have to pit, or end up slowing down just from tire life. He's still very much in this race.
And Damien, quicker on the draw that time, but not quick enough as Lewis gets a way better start again. Freddie Brazil gets the best start. Sorry, that's Nathan Doan. Nathan Doan gets the best start on Freddie Brazil. He's going to go on the outside. Nathan going on the outside. Can Fred cover off the inside well enough? Nathan having to take the long way around. Does he push him just a little bit wide? He does not. Now Nathan is on the inside for this turn 3 right here. He backs out a little bit. Fred stays up into P3. Mission Duga up into P10. There's a lot of changes out there. Jack Fletcher down there. Buzzcott, you said he was on for a podium. He's down for last place, is what it looks like down in the P17. Oh, and Freddie Brazil spins out. Coming out of that left-hander. That's where he spun out in the D3 race. They cost him a podium in that race as well. History repeats itself, folks. Once again, D3 to D2. Freddie Brazil does not change. Nathan Doan, P3. Victor Diaz in his first race of Season 5 up into P4. And combined YouTuber, despite the Ferrari struggles all weekend long, is up into P5. Garrett Elder up into P6. Eruption started P3 or P2 down into P7. And Sanduga, after a horrific start, up into P8. This is chaos. Absolute chaos. They're just going side by side right now. That is Corrupt, trying to make his way, climb his way back through the field. He's up into P6 at one point, now into P10. Trying to get revenge back on Barney Goatmere, who's now in P9. They were P15, P17, now they're P9 and P10. They're absolutely flying right now. And I said Eruption is going to make Storm on the dry compound tires. This is his opportunity to prove me right. Will he do it? Hunting down Garrett Elder and combined YouTuber. We will find out.
As it seems like there was a bit of a moment between Freddie and Lucas. They're having some words in the chat.
That is unsurprising. And they're both out of the race, so that's just how it is sometimes. His Eruption, he's lowered the gap a little bit. Shaggy Muffin overtakes Jack Fletcher, or he overtakes Jack Fletcher because he spun out. And Eruption coming in, so now Eruption has completely closed the gap to Garrett Elder and combined YouTuber. Closing the gap is one thing, overtaking is a completely different beast. And we're going to see what he can do on these hard compound tires. Those mediums should be, in theory, be faster. And Corrupt has another mistake, and he's spun out again after a phenomenal charge. So DRS is enabled. Eruption, let's see what you can do.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Corrupt, who's having such a great race up in P6. Made the gamble under safety car, which turned out fine for him, and just has not had a very great time on those dry compound tires.
And it does, he moved up. I can't remember where he qualified. He didn't qualify great, and he'd move up into P6. Race pace is just, he proved he was a beast at it, but just couldn't keep it consistent enough. And the drivers that are keeping it consistent.
Another spin
Garrett
up
Elder
in the top right. And Prison Mike, I think, got caught up in. They both yellow flagged at the same place.
And so, and Barney Gomir overtakes Mr. Sandunga right there. I think you just had a slow, really bad little left-right right there. And coming into this right-hander, Barney Gomir up to P7. So he's back kind of where he was with Corrupt, but Corrupt is down there. Eruption made his way back up into P6. And Combined and Victor Diaz fighting for that P4 position. Nathan Doan 2 seconds up. So assuming there are no mistakes, it's looking like this is your podium position. Again, we have like 13 laps left, but Lewis, Damian, and Nathan fill your podium positions, and they each have quite a sizable gap between each other.
Yes, Damian's keeping the gap a little bit smaller than it was at the previous restarts, but still, I think they're spreading out more and more, seeing less of the grouping that we saw in the wet conditions.
Yeah, and so maybe the old saying is right that the rain is the great equalizers. They were all so close together. As Victor Diaz has a terrible left-hander right there, coming into this sweeping right. Combined can't take advantage of it. But, Victor definitely showing weakness here. And Combined smelling blood in the water. Maybe can get that position in a couple laps or even soon. But he has to link some of his best laps together while Victor makes a mistake. And it's not looking like he's doing that right
now. Yeah, just so hard to overtake on this track. Especially with pretty much everyone being on the exact same strategy now, except for Eruption and Buzzguy are the only one left on, and Shaggy Muffin are the only ones left on the hard compound tires.
Yeah, and Eruption so far, he has the DRS, but he hasn't been able to take full advantage of it in his fight against Victor and Combined, as Combined goes on the inside. Can Eruption follow him through? Victor went for the switchback. Does he have the traction? It's looking like he may have the traction coming into turn 3. Combined still has the inside line. He's going to have to go wide. Victor follows right behind him, looking for a setup, but Combined YouTuber has no ERS. Victor has 40 ERS, and so we're going to see down the start-finish straightaway, Victor's going to bide his time. He's going to strike. Hopefully then burn his ERS, get past him, but again, we have 10 laps. You don't have to do it all right now.
Yeah, crazy there's still 10 laps in this race. I mean, some of those drivers will have to push their mediums almost 20 laps. It'll definitely be a stretch.
Yeah, and so Eruption may be the big winner out of all this. He feints a dive to the inside on Victor. And yeah, the Eruption on the hard tires could definitely be a big winner out here. As 20 laps on those mediums is going to sting.
Yeah, but any way you look at it, though, it's looking really good for Red Bull, who have the lead and have the first driver on hard compound tires. However this shakes out, I think they'll end up either P1 or P2 on the podium here.
Damien Doe, though, he's keeping it close. He's 1.4, 1.5 seconds within Lewis Piper's reach. He's not burning too much ERS. Lewis and him have the same amount of battery left. And so this, it's definitely still in reach as Cal has a little bit of a moment and allowed Corrupt to get back up into P12.
Yeah, as Lewis and Damien are really starting to pull away from Nathan a little bit. The gap just about 6 seconds here.
And as long as Nathan stays, above 2 seconds from combined YouTuber, I think he'll be fine. But if that starts dropping, he's going to have to burn a lot of this ERS that he's built up. He's at 90 ERS, keeping a steady gap, just holding on to it in case he needs to use it.
Yeah, and the other thing he has to be really careful to avoid is track limits penalties.
I didn't even think about that. I wish we could see, like, what warnings everyone was on.
I think no, race director does not do anything.
Eruption going on the inside. Oh, he went so deep. So Victor Diaz is going to get that spot back, or should. Eruption went so deep right there, and that allowed, is that Barney to get into the mix? So Barney's going on the outside. They bang wheels just a little bit. Barney's pushing him on the inside. He's going to have to go, and so even though it looked like Eruption might have had the move on Victor Diaz, he just locked up or just broke way, way too late. And not only did he not get into P5, he actually lost the position and is now in P7.
Yeah, and I just checked the race director. Nathan does not have any warnings yet, so he should be sailing pretty clear here.
Nathan is driving an absolute clean masterclass right now, showing us all how to do it up into P3 in the Alpine. Mr. Sandunga also in the Alpine in the top 10 right now. Of course, he has a little bit of a penalty, but nothing you can't. So, Envy, can we bribe the stewards? Is that a thing, or is it a little bit under the table, maybe here and there?
You're asking me in front of the entire league, so I'm inclined to say no there.
All right, so I'll ask you afterwards. I just want to see Mr. Sandunga finish in the top 10. I don't want penalties to get in the way of that. And Barney...
Yeah, it'll definitely be close to being in the top 10, as Garrett has a 5-second penalty.
Oh, speeding in the pit lane. That'll come back to bite him. There's still about 5 laps remaining for a potential safety car. I think once you get to lap 33, the chance of a safety car, they just rule it out. They say it's not happening. So he could theoretically serve it. If there's another safety car, he could serve it in the pits. But I don't think it'll happen, as we've already lost about 5 drivers. And so the chance of getting that safety car are slim.
Yeah, as Damien's closing the gap a little bit.
Oh!
Just above 1 second, but he's definitely closing it. He may get DRS in the next couple laps here.
And Garrett gets past Buzzcloud right there, but he picks up a time penalty in doing so. I feel like those may get looked at if you were pushed wide and you had no other option. I'm not a steward, so I don't know, but if you get pushed wide right there and you get a track limits, is that reversible, or how does that normally go?
Yeah, so you can definitely remove the warnings if it's like you get pushed off track or you're trying to avoid a collision. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened, that you can get that removed. But huge battle between Victor and Eruption here. That I think Victor got past Eruption, possibly. He's now fighting a combined YouTuber.
Well, like all right there, that little group from 4 to 5 is fighting. 5 and 6 is fighting. 6 and 7 is fighting. They're all they're fighting with the person behind them and in front of them at any given corner, and it's really exciting to watch. And when Barney gets overtaken, I have a bad habit. Not really bad habit, it's just nothing I can help, but when I get overtaken, the guy in front normally just leaves me in the dust. But Barney's been overtaken by Eruption and a couple other drivers. Corrupt named another one and he just sticks right behind him. And I just think Barney's showing great pace, great racecraft so far today. Just being able to stick behind some of the fastest guys in the league. And even when they overtake him, he's just always there. And he's going to be on for a great finish in the Williams if he can keep it up.
Yeah, and another really interesting factor is the battery levels. Victor Diaz sitting around 40%, Eruption under 10, Barney around 30%. So we may see that come into effect in these next couple laps here.
Yeah, and Victor Diaz, I think, just biding his time. I think he can get past Combined, especially with the ERS advantage that he has. He's just waiting for the right time. He may have gotten a warning there. He's got to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, as Nathan in P3 is just having a very lonely end of his race. Just kind of cruising around on his own.
I don't think he minds that one bit, to be honest. Finishing P3 in his first podium in D2, I think. So yeah. And Eruption goes for a little lunge at Victor Diaz down that little straightaway. Doesn't make it stick, but he's definitely letting it be known to Victor that I'm here and I am ready and willing to stick my nose in any corner.
Yeah, as both Eruption and Barney had a little bit of a back end loss in the that second to last corner too. Looks like Buzzgod's closing up a bit to Garrett Elder too. In 1 second, should get him on penalties. So not all is lost for the Ferrari team.
Yeah, Buzzgod's absolutely flying right now, and I'm wondering if Garrett can get within this second, if we can go from this P4 to P7 battle to make it a P4 to P9 battle. Damien picks up a 3-second time penalty. It won't mean much.
As Victor spun.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if there was contact, but Victor drops down to P10.
And so Eruption down into P5. Now he's got to fight Combined YouTuber.
Oh no, and Buzzgod spun.
This is peak Buzzgod right here. Corrupt up back into the top 10. That's what you like to see. But Eruption, I think, or Combined is going to have an easier time fending off Eruption, because they both have literally no battery left. And as I say that, Eruption is closing in. He's going to go on the outside. Doesn't make the same mistake of lunging down the inside. He's going for a little bit of a switchback. Does he have the traction? Combine's going to stick to the inside here. Coming into this turn 3. Squeezing him a little bit outside right there. Eruption's going to have to go on the outside. Does he go for a second switchback? He doesn't have the room. Combine starts it off right there. And Combine survives Eruption for now, but he's going to have another closing. Eruption feints that inside look right there. And I think they're going to be battling it out for the rest of the race, but Eruption's lack of battery may come back to haunt him.
Yeah, I think he's feeling a bit of that tire advantage now, though.
And Damien Doe, Lewis is ghosted right now. I guess he got DC'd or something. Damien Doe is now within 3/10. He's absolutely.
Oh, you hate to see it. Really, really unfortunate to DC in the lead of the race and lose that much time. But he joined back, but I still don't see him taking control. There he goes. I don't think it'll come into too much effect, as Damien still has the 3-second penalty. But it definitely makes the battle up front interesting. You know, there's a small possibility for Nathan to have a less lonely race now if there's a bit of contact.
Yep. So Lewis pulling away so far, but you hate to see it, love to witness it if you're Damien Doe. Now he's finally, as Eruption gets past Combined YouTuber right there. And so we got a lot of swapping and swapping and all kinds of different things. Eruption up into P4, Combined YouTuber. Eruption goes a little bit deep right there. Combined can't sneak his nose in. And I think this is where the hard compound tires are coming back into play. Barney's on 5-lap pressure, 4-lap pressure mediums than Combined YouTuber, and I think he may be able to make the overtake. And as I say that, he gets a track limits penalty, 3 seconds right there, so he's out of this top 5 equation right now.
Yeah, and rumor has it, from what I'm seeing, that Damien might have slowed down to make sure he didn't pass Lewis while he was ghosted, which just shows great sportsmanship from him.
Ah, I hate it. I hate it. You got to strike while the iron is hot. Take advantage of everything. Um, I respect him for it, but this is one of those you love to see it, hate to witness it moments for me right there. As Nathan Doan still cruising to a 3.5 second gap. Eruption, what a great recovery after having to pit 40 different times on the wrong tire. Up into P4 now, and he struggled. He's had to fight through a track that is so notoriously difficult to fight for. Speaking of fighting, Barney Goatmere going on the inside of combined YouTuber. And Barney has burnt all his ERS, so he knows this is the time, but there's still 2 laps remaining. Just combined go for a lunge down the inside of turn 3. He does not. He's going to stick behind Barney, try to get as close to him as possible and get DRS down the next straightaway. But I just don't know if it'll be enough.
Yeah, and Eruption has pulled quite the gap to Barney combined, so it really seems like those hard compound tires finally got the advantage over the mediums at this point.
Yeah, and Eruption's reeling him. Yeah. So, Eruption is flying right now. BuzzGod, I feel like he maybe could have been flying had he not spun 50 times.
Yeah, really unfortunate for BuzzGod. Corrupt back up to P8. Possibly P7 with penalties. It'll see what happens there, but some good recoveries from the drivers still left in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hate to see it be corrupt because you're looking at Barney Goatmere, who you were arguably faster than this entire race. He's chilling in the top 5 right now. But still, what a great way to recover and fight back from down into P17 and going back up into P8. Starting the final lap. Garrett Elder down into P11. BuzzGod into P10. There's a yellow in sector 3. I don't know who it is. Is it Alex and Jack Fletcher or Shaggy Muffin?
I believe it was Shaggy Muffin who had a bit of a spin. Maybe tires a bit too hot, but
Shaggy Muffin is dead. And Lewis Piper is alive, coming, about to start sector 3 of the final lap of Zoom Racing League Division 2 Hungaroring race. This is round 2. He will extend his lead in the driver's standings and extend the Red Bull standings as constructing leaders.
Dude, I've hopped on board with Eruption here. He is cutting down that gap on Nathan. It's almost a second. I don't quite think he'll be able to do it, but 1 lap more, and I think Eruption gets a podium here.
1 lap more. That is gutting.
He dropped that gap almost 2 full seconds in that last lap there.
But it was all for naught as Lewis Piper wins the race, followed by the Alfa Romeo of Damien Doe and the Alpine of Nathan Doan. Eruption finishes P4. Combined YouTuber, due to penalties, sticks on to P5. Barney and Corrupt finishing right next to each other. As always, P6, P7, Victor Diaz looking up for a top 4 finish there at one point, down into P8. BuzzGod, I don't even know what to say. BuzzGod, P9. Mr. Sandunga in the top 10. I don't even have to pay you off anymore, NBA. He finished in the top 10. Garrett Elder, P11. Cal in the Mercedes. He was, him and Luca were gonna be they were the Mercedes' only hope, and they let him down. Cal down into P12. Jack Fletcher, P13. And the final 2 positions, it pains my heart to say this, Shaggy Muffin, P14. Alex Duarte, P15. The Alpha Tauris in the mud this week. But next week we're coming back. Miami is ours. But Hungary was the Red Bulls. Lewis, P1. So, that was a long, exciting, chaotic, brilliant race. And that was great. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, a lot of good battling, especially towards the end there. But I always love the wet to dry races. They give you a good mix of strategy and some pretty good close racing.
Jeez, dude, these guys are absolutely flying. The fastest lap was a 17.4. Dude, I think the fast lap in ours was like a in D3 was like a 19 something. Dude, that is ridiculous. Um, yeah, so let's get these guys in for an interview. Lewis, Damien, we talked to those guys last week. The person we're talking to for the first time this season is Nathan Doan in the Alpine, so we'll get them in for an interview. We're gonna see what kind of shenanigans we can get up to. Bum, 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 bum. At Lewis.
I can go. I can't. Never mind. I thought I could pull him into the waiting room. As I there, Nathan is now in the waiting room. I will pull him in.
All right, let's get Nathan in here. Nathan,
Oh, hi.
how does it feel to be a podium finisher in the Division 2 race?
Pretty good. I mean, didn't expect this result today, but at least we got it.
I mean, we noticed you got into that P3 position, and after those pits, of course, and Luca had the incident, and from then on, it was just kind of a boring race. What were your thoughts throughout those last like 10 or so laps, where you were pretty sure you were going to be in that final podium position, and you're just making sure you don't slip up. What was the thought process throughout that last half of the race?
I mean, I don't know, man. I was doing air guitar on the straights, missing up shifts and everything. I'm sorry to my engineers because I was troubling them with my antics. So I was asking
Are you at
them like
all
if they,
worried about? Go ahead.
huh? Um, I was just like asking my engineers if they had any hot takes on like American cinema, and they denied that. So yeah.
That's glorious. So I gotta ask, does it does a D2 podium feel better than a D3 win?
Not as good as the DC championship.
Ah, but see, the championship's different. What about the win compared to the D2 podium? How does that stack up?
Well, with my win in Belgium, that was definitely a boring one, but this one feels good. I'd say I had a more fun time doing this one. So
I mean,
yeah.
you drove phenomenally. NBA, you have any questions or comments?
Were you at all worried about Eruption, who seemed to be catching up quite
Oh,
quickly there at the last couple laps?
I mean, he was fine. Good job to him. But like, I'd say my engineer was more worried about him than I was. I was still doing air guitar by the time he had closed up to 2 seconds. So yeah,
Oh,
just
fa
a chill race. Hardest part, maybe staying awake. But
damn. Fair enough, Nathan Doan, your D3
yeah,
champion, now D2 podium finisher. What a great race. And I'm hoping to see more great drives throughout the rest of the season.
yeah. All right. Love you, OG.
Love you with peace. All right, now we'll bring in the P2 finisher, the pole sitter, Damien Doe. NBA, he's your boy. You got to lead. You got to lead the interview this time as Alfa Romeo brethren. So take it away.
Uh, yeah, congrats on the podium, Damon. How did you feel about that race?
At the start, I was struggling quite a bit trying to get acclimated to the wet. Um, but I was trying to find a groove, but those safety cars really were a struggle to the race. Um, but yeah, I was just trying to manage my pace to the guys behind, and in the dry, I definitely felt more comfortable, and was definitely not expecting to fight or to keep up with Lewis at the end there.
Yeah, you had a like you were closing in. So at the first half of the race, you were a couple seconds back from Lewis, and at the end you just closed it in. Was there anything you changed differently? So like excluding him, like his little internet, whatever. Like you closed it in the dry, like regardless. You were way faster in the dry. Was there anything different you changed? Were you just more confident in the dry that allowed you to be that way, or did you switch things up?
I would just say I was more confident. Definitely didn't do a lot of practice in the wet, so when I first saw that, um, yeah, I knew it was gonna be pretty bad. But yeah, I told him that I was glad that he came back to the race when he did because I definitely didn't want to overtake or get my first win in that kind of way.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Certainly. And did you have to make any setup changes for the seeing that it was wet while you were qualifying? Because you set the pole fast lap.
Um, I I think I just carried my setup as usual and just hope for the best for the race.
Well, I mean, you did a damn good job. What a phenomenal qualifying, phenomenal weekend in a P2 finish. After the pole, we know the Damien win is definitely on. It's coming and it's coming soon. So once again, a great weekend for you, for Alfred Mayo. So just once again, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. See ya.
And we will bring in the race winner, the two-time race winner, the back-to-back race winner, Lewis, Mr. Red Bull Piper. Lewis,
Hello.
once again, two races in a row, two relatively dominating victories. You had a little bit of a scare there towards the end, but for the most part, it was relatively smooth sailing. Um, what did you kind of do during the race that kept you locked in and able to pull away in that first place uh, for the victory?
I mean, in the wet, I didn't really pull away, but obviously oh no, the dry even, but the wet was much better. I preferred that. The dry, I struggled with, I think, setup. And obviously Damien kept up and gave me a good race. But apart from that, it wasn't too fun of a race, I'd say. It was kind of only fun towards the end.
And once area you seemed to really pull away was the starts, whether it be at the beginning or under the safety car. Do you have
It,
any tricks for that, or is it just good reaction time?
uh, just, I don't even know. My starts, I just go low revs in the wet, just try and go for it. Uh, I knew no matter what, I wanted to go for it at the start because I knew that's when it would be one of my only chances to overtake in the wet would be first corner. So I had to make a good start, and I obviously done that and managed to pull away, and then kept it. And the same with the safety cars, I managed to get a good gap as well. But yeah, it definitely struggled in the dry.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely had the pace for sure on the wets. So with that taking in consideration that you felt you struggled in the dry relatively with the disconnect that you experienced, were you afraid that the win was just gonna be lost right there?
Um, yes and no. I didn't know how the AI would be once I left. I didn't know if it would jump really far back or whatever, because I knew Damien had the 3 second penalty, so I knew that gave me a kind of cushion. But just yeah, and obviously I have to thank him for not passing me. But yeah, it was definitely a little bit scary.
Well, regardless, you finished the race in P1. Two races for you, two race victories. So you're starting off the season with a bang, and I'm sure we're going to be interviewing you next week. So once again, congratulations on the race victory, and we'll see you later.
Yep.
All right, NBA. I need some closing words. What is there anything you need to tell the world, tell anyone at home watching, anything?
No, I don't really got anything. I'm excited for the D1 race. I hope there's rain there too, as much as the D1 drivers might not be a fan of that. But
It definitely makes for interesting races, chaotic races, and that was your interesting and chaotic Hungarian Grand Prix for Division 2. Hop on board tomorrow, I think what 10 p.m. Central Time. Um, in the Division 1 race. So that's where all the fast drivers are. Like, subscribe if you're still here, comment something, join the Discord, do whatever, stay active, go outside, have a good breakfast tomorrow, do everything you need to do. We just had a hell of a stream, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.